Brendan McGair from the Woonsocket Pawtucket Times, joined by Branden Mello from the Kent County Daily Times, and we're here to talk a little Division II Super Bowl, Cumberland versus West Warwick, the big game coming up Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock kickoff at Cranston Stadium. And let's talk about the game for a couple minutes, Branden. This will be the fourth time in the last 2 years that Cumberland and West Warwick have squared off. Met last year, last game of the regular season, met in the Division II semifinals. Once again, in 2013, met last game of the year, one that was pretty big, decided the division. And talk about how, the formula, how 5-2, five teams, I believe, tied at 5-2, and how West Warwick ended up getting the #1 seed.
Well, they won it because of defensive points allowed within the group of 5 teams, which included Rogers, St. Raphael, and North Kingstown. West Warwick had to allow fewer than 20 points in that game, which made it kind of odd because if Cumberland had scored more than 20 points and lost the game, they would have been out of the playoffs. So it was a really weird situation that Cumberland was in that day. And that game meant very little to them as long as they scored fewer than 20 points, because if they had won the game, they would have won the division. As it was, they were the #2 seed. For West Warwick, that game meant everything. So it's hard to really gauge anything off of that game going into this game on Sunday.
You've seen this team throughout the year. Obviously, they got off to a slow start. They've lost their first 3 games, lost the first 2 in league play. But defensively, where have you seen this West Warwick team make an improvement over the last month and a half, 2 months?
The 2 biggest things that have improved are their ability to stop teams on the edges. Last year, Cumberland, Shea, Rogers, they ran all over them, outside, inside, it didn't matter. But West Warwick has a kid named Connor Williamson who's containing one edge, and a kid named Trevor Lawton on the other edge. And then they have a safety named John Menard who missed the first 2 weeks of the season. He's their monster back. They use him as sort of a hybrid linebacker safety, and he's made a huge difference when teams get past the linebackers. They're not getting 50 yards. Those carries are only going for 5-6 yards, and the defense has played a lot better since he's been back there.
And obviously football teams, they evolve year from year, but how many players at West Warwick returned from last year's semifinal runner-up position?
I would say that almost every influential player, all the important players, like the quarterback Cody Greenhall, Austin Pagay, Menard, Chris Stafford there, who's probably going to be an all-state lineman this year, Trevor Lawton, Dave LaMountain, a nice wide receiver safety. The important kids are back this year, and after a slow start, they played a lot better.
Because from the Cumberland perspective, this is pretty much a new team from last year. They returned only about 6 guys on defense, 5 guys on offense. You still had Joe Fine, who was
outstanding.
Very productive player last year. New quarterback Tyler Calabro, who a lot of people know he was a very big star for Cumberland Little Leagues a couple of years ago. First year entrenched under center, done a very good job of leading this team. But more importantly, it's been a team that's been evolved over the course of the season. They played North Kingstown. They lost down there. They played West Warwick, which was not their best game at all. They think they had about 6 or 7 turnovers. But since the playoffs have come around, they basically took care of business against Coventry in the first round, and then they took care of St. Raphael. So it's a team that has evolved over the course of the year, which is what you want to see in football teams.
Just watching them, the time I saw them against Coventry in the quarterfinal, it's Stock. The kid, he's a solid running back. They've got a really good defensive line. It's going to be, I really don't see this. The winner, I doubt, will score more than 20 points in this game, the way these 2 teams have been playing defense. I know they've been putting up a lot of points, but the defense have been dominating, especially late in the season for both teams.
Do you think it's an advantage for either one that they've just seen each other recently? Or is it just there's enough game tape since then that you can make adjustments?
I think they are who they are. I mean, West Warwick, they're going to throw the ball with Greenhall. They're going to throw the ball outside. They're going to run the ball inside with Kevon Hazard-Page, and they're going to run the ball outside with Pagay. And their defense is their defense. I mean, I don't see how many changes both teams can really make going into this game, because they are who they are after 13 games played already this year. I mean, I'm sure they'll have wrinkles. West Warwick ran a hook and ladder play against Rogers on a 2nd and 38. So I'm sure both coaches will do little things, but throughout the game, they're just going to be who they are. I mean, Cumberland's going to run the ball with Stock. They're going to get Calabro out on the edges and try and run some option. They're going to try and throw the ball a little bit, and West Warwick is who they are as well.
You mentioned Stock. He did not play against Woonsocket on Thanksgiving. Maybe one of the luxuries of not having to play that Tuesday night playoff game is you could rest guys and have 10-day and take advantage of this 10-day period between the Division II teams are allowed between the Thanksgiving Day game and the Super Bowl. Time to rest up, but also there's plenty of time to look at each other on film, I guess.
Absolutely.
All right, that should do it. Should be a good game on Sunday. We're looking forward to it.